Have you ever read a book that feels like it's tearing your heart open and stitching it back together all at once? A story so vivid, so emotional that it makes you question, why don't you read more books like it? Hi, I'm Ridhima. Welcome to the Old Trunk. Today I'm going to take you on a deep dive into the Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. If you caught my video last week, you know I reviewed The Palace of Illusions by Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni, a retelling of the Mahabharata from Draupadi's perspective. I fell head over heels for the mythological fiction genre. It's like stepping into a world where gods, heroes, and epic emotions collide. That love affair with mythology led me straight to the Song of Achilles, a modern classic rooted in Greek mythology, specifically inspired by Homer's Iliad. I was craving more of that lush emotional storytelling, and let me tell you, this book delivered in ways I didn't even know and left me sobbing. Yes, I cried a lot. Let's dive in. Before we get into the story, let's talk about Greek mythology because the Song of Achilles is deeply rooted in it. And understanding the context makes the book even richer. Greek mythology is a collection of ancient stories about gods, heroes, and mortals, passed down through epic poems, plays, or oral traditions. Think of it as the ultimate drama. Gods like Zeus, Apollo, and Athena meddle in human lives. Heroes like Hercules or Theseus undertake epic quests, and mortals grapple with fate, love, and hubris. The Trojan War, which is central to this book, is one of the most famous myths, immortalized in Homer's Iliad. It's a tale of a massive war sparked by a divine dispute and a stolen queen, involving legendary figures like Achilles, Hector, and Odysseus. What makes Greek mythology so compelling is its mix of the divine and the human. Gods are flawed, heroes are complex, and the stakes are always sky high. If you're new to it, don't worry. Madeline Miller makes it super accessible, and I'll keep this review spoiler free so you can enjoy the ride. So, what is the Song of Achilles about? At its heart, it's a retelling of the Trojan War, but don't expect a dry history lesson or a blow by blow adaptation of the Iliad. This is a deeply personal, character driven story that focuses on the relationship between two young men, Patroclus, our narrator, and Achilles, the golden hero destined for greatness. This book traces their lives from childhood, when they met as boys in the kingdom of Thea, through their adolescence and into young adulthood, as they navigate friendship, love, duty, and the looming shadow of the Trojan War. The story is set in a vivid mythological Greece, where gods walk among mortals, prophecies shape destinies, and honor is everything. Patroclus starts as an exile, a boy who feels out of place in a world that values strength and glory. Achilles, on the other hand, is the son of a mortal king and a sea goddess, born to be a legend. Their bond begins as a tentative friendship and grows into something deeper, more profound, set against the backdrop of a world on the brink of war. The Trojan War itself, sparked by the abduction of Helen of Sparta, looms large, pulling them into a conflict that tests their loyalties, their values, and their connection to each other. What makes this book so special is how it balances that epic and intimate. Yes, there are gods, prophecies, and battles. But the heart of the story is the human side, Patroclus and Achilles' relationship, their struggles with identity, and the choices they make in a world that feels governed by fate. It's about love in its many forms, the cost of pride, and what it means to leave a legacy. Miller doesn't just focus on the war, she zooms in on the quiet moments, the stolen glances, the shared laughter, the fears whispered in the dark that make these characters feel so real. There's a romantic thread between Patroclus and Achilles that's handled with such tenderness and authenticity. It feels timeless. It's not about labels, it's about two people who find solace and strength in each other in a world that's often harsh and unforgiving. The mythology adds layers. Gods like Thetis, Achilles' mother, cast a shadow over their lives. And prophecies remind us that fate is never far away. But Miller keeps it grounded, making you care about these characters as people, not just as mythic figures. If you're worried about keeping up with the mythology, don't be. Miller weaves in just enough context to make the world vivid without overwhelming you. You'll feel the weight of the god's presence, the tension of impending war, and the beauty of a bond that defies the chaos around it. This is a story that's as much about the heart as it is about the myth. And it's one that you won't forget. Moving on, let's talk about the characters who make this book so unforgettable, because Miller doesn't just write characters, she breathes life into them, making them feel like people you could meet today. Let's start with our narrator, Patroclus, who is such a fascinating protagonist because he's not your typical Greek hero. He's not the strongest, the fastest, or the most charismatic. He starts as this awkward, sensitive kid who feels like he doesn't belong anywhere. Exiled from his home after a childhood incident, he's sent to Thea, where he meets Achilles. Patroclus is introspective, kind, and deeply empathetic, but he's also plagued by self-doubt. What I love about him is how relatable he is. He's the outsider looking in, someone who's trying to find his place in a world that values strength and glory above all else. Through his eyes, we see the story unfold, and his voice is so honest and vulnerable that you can't help but root for him. His journey is about discovering his own strength, not through physical prowess, but through love, loyalty, and moral courage. He's the heart of the story, and his perspective makes every moment feel deeply personal. Moving on to my favorite, Achilles, who is everything Patroclus isn't, at least on the surface. He's the golden boy, literally born to be a legend, son of a mortal king and the sea goddess Thetis. He's beautiful, talented, and destined for greatness. But Miller doesn't let him be a one-dimensional hero. Achilles is complex. He's confident, but not arrogant. Passionate, but sometimes reckless. His relationship with Patroclus grounds him, giving him a softness that contrasts with his warrior persona. What's so compelling is how Miller shows his struggle between his desire for glory and his personal connections. He's not just a mythic figure, he's a young man wrestling with his fate, torn between what he's destined to be and what he wants to hold on to. His charisma and vulnerability make him magnetic, and you'll find yourself both in awe of him and worried for him. The dynamic between Patroclus and Achilles is the heartbeat of the story. Their bond starts as a tentative friendship and deepens into something profound. There's a romantic undercurrent that's subtle but unmistakable, handled with such tenderness that it feels universal. It's not about labels. It's about two people who see and understand each other in a world that often feels chaotic and cruel. Their relationship is the lens through which we see the larger themes of love, sacrifice, and mortality. And it's written so beautifully that it'll stay with you long after you turn the last page. The supporting characters also add so much depth to the story. Thetis, Achilles' divine mother, is a force of nature. She's cold, otherworldly, and fiercely protective of her son. But her presence adds tension because she disapproves of Patroclus. Her role highlights the clash between mortal and divine worlds, and she's both captivating and intimidating. Chiron, the wise centaur who trains the boys, brings a sense of warmth and mentorship, offering a brief respite from the harsher realities of their world. And as the story moves toward the Trojan War, characters like Odysseus and Agamemnon come into play, adding layers of political intrigue and moral ambiguity. Odysseus is clever and cunning, while Agamemnon's pride and ambition create a friction that ripples through the story. Each character feels fully realized with their own motivations and flaws. Miller doesn't just tell you who they are. She shows you through their actions, their words, and the way they interact with each other. It's like watching a tapestry come to life with every thread carefully woven. The characters aren't just archetypes from myth, they're human, flawed, and unforgettable. Let's move on to how Miller brings all the characters to life with her writing. Madeline Miller's writing, in a word, is breathtaking. If you've never read her before, let me tell you, she has this ability to blend poetic, almost lyrical prose with a modern sensibility that makes every sentence feel alive. Reading the Song of Achilles is like sinking into a warm bath of words. It's immersive, evocative, and so vivid that you can almost taste the salt of the Greek sea or hear the clash of bronze in the distance. Her style is elegant but never pretentious. She uses simple, precise language to paint vivid images, whether she's describing the beauty of a sunlit beach or the quiet intimacy of a shared moment between characters. There's this one scene early on where Patroclus describes Achilles running. And the way Miller captures the grace and power of that moment, it's like you're watching it in slow motion. Her descriptions aren't just pretty, they serve the story, deepening the emotional weight of every scene. What's brilliant is how she balances the mythological with the human. The gods and prophecies are there, but the story never feels distant or archaic. It's told through Patroclus's first-person perspective, which gives it an immediacy that pulls you in. His voice is introspective, almost confessional, and it makes you feel like he's sitting across from you telling you his story. The pacing is deliberate. Some might call it slow, but I think it's perfect. Miller takes her time building the characters and their world. So when the stakes get higher, you're fully invested. She spends the first half of the book letting you fall in love with Patroclus and Achilles. So when the Trojan War kicks into gear, every choice they make feels monumental. She also weaves in themes seamlessly: love, fate, mortality, and the cost of pride without ever feeling heavy-handed. There's a subtle nod to the queer nature of Patroclus and Achilles' relationship, handled with such sensitivity that it feels like a natural part of their story, not a plot point to check off. It's a love story that transcends labels, rooted in mutual respect and vulnerability. Miller's background as a classicist shines through. She clearly knows her Greek mythology inside out, but she never overwhelms you with it. The mythological elements, like the gods' interference or the weight of prophecies, feel organic, enhancing the story without dominating it. One thing that stood out to me was how Miller uses contrasts, light and dark, mortal and divine, love and war, to create this rich, layered narrative. Every chapter feels like it's building towards something. And even though I knew the broad strokes of the Trojan War from mythology, I was on the edge of my seat, desperate to see how it would unfold through Patroclus's eyes. The prose is so emotive that it carries you through every high and low, making you feel like you're living the story alongside the characters. Seriously, Miller's writing is like a love letter to storytelling itself. If you love prose that's both beautiful and accessible, this is for you. Okay, let's get personal. I love the Song of Achilles. I went into this book expecting a good mythological retelling, especially after falling for the Palace of Illusions, but what I got was so much more. This book broke me in the best way possible. I rarely cry when reading. I'm usually pretty stoic, but this one had me sobbing, not just once but multiple times. There's something about the way Miller writes emotions that hit you right in the chest. The love, the loss, the quiet moments of connection, it all feels so real. What got me was how universal the story feels. Yes, it's rooted in Greek mythology, with all its gods and prophecies. But at its heart, it's about what it means to love someone fiercely, to face impossible choices, and to find meaning in a world that can be so unforgiving. The relationship between Patroclus and Achilles is the core of that. And it's written with such tenderness and authenticity that it transcends time or labels. It's not just a queer love story, it's a human love story. And it's one of the most beautiful I've ever read. Their bond, built on trust, vulnerability, and mutual respect, felt so real that it made my heart ache in the best way. This book also sparked a new obsession with mythological retellings for me. I've always been curious about it, but Miller's storytelling made me want to dive deeper into these ancient stories. I'm now itching to read more retellings that bring gods and heroes to life with the same heart and humanity. My TBR has grown exponentially, and I've added books like Circe by Madeline Miller because I need more of her writing, Girl Meets Boy by Ali Smith, Penelopead by Margaret Atwood, Media by Rachel Cusk, The Liberation of Sita by Volga, and so many more. If you want, I can create a list of all the mythological fictions that I have read or want to read. Do let me know in the comments if that interests you. And if you have any other Greek mythology recommendations, drop them too in the comments. I'm all ears. For me, The Song of Achilles is a book about love, sacrifice, and what it means to leave a mark on the world. It's a kind of story that stays with you, that makes you want to hug the book when you're done, even if it leaves you a little wrecked. I can't recommend it enough, and I'm already planning a reread because I miss Patroclus and Achilles already. So there you have it, my love letter to the Song of Achilles. This book is a masterpiece of mythological fiction, blending heart-wrenching emotion, vivid characters, and gorgeous prose into a story that feels both epic and intimate. Madeline Miller has crafted something truly special, and I'm grateful I picked it up after my Palace of Illusions journey. It's rare to find a book that's this perfect balance of accessible and profound, and I can't wait to explore more of her work. If you're wondering who this book is for, I'd say it's for anyone who loves character-driven stories, mythological retellings, or emotional reads that make you feel everything. Whether you're into romance, historical fiction, or just a darn good story, this book has something for you. It's especially great if you're curious about Greek mythology, but want something that feels modern and relatable. And if you're looking for a story with a beautifully portrayed queer relationship, this one handles it with such grace. This one's a keeper. If you want to read just one book this year, make it this one. I want to hear from you. Have you read The Song of Achilles? Did it make you cry like it did me? Or is it on your TBR? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let me know what other mythological fiction I should check out. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and press that bell icon so that you get notified whenever I upload a new video. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, stay happy. Thanks for watching. Lots of love. Bye-bye.